Good evening. Welcome to Football on 5 for the very best of the weekend's action from the Sky Bet Championship and Leagues 1 and 2.
Tonight, the EFL's two super heavyweights, led by their Champions League winning managers, went head-to-head.
Aston Villa versus Newcastle at Villa Park. Two teams picking themselves up off the canvas at very different speeds. Highlights on the way.
Two other clubs which you'd put at the upper end of the weight scale, Sheffield Wednesday and Nottingham Forest, met at Hillsborough.
Wallace has a go!
And the Terriers they're all chasing, Huddersfield Town. We'll see how they got on at Reading.
We're joined tonight by Bristol City head coach Lee Johnson, who's come straight from Craven Cottage, where his side played today, and a man who served a number of EFL clubs with distinction before continuing the good work managing Charlton and West Ham, Alan Curbishley. Good to see you both.
Right, we're going to begin with the meeting of one of Alan's former clubs, Aston Villa and Newcastle United. That was tonight. Newcastle lying third, Villa down in 18th at the start of the day. Commentary from Don Goodman and Daniel Mann.
Newcastle at the moment very much in the chasing pack in a division they were expected by some to dominate. Villa can't even claim that just yet. Buffon digging in. Duel there with Mile Jedinak, which should be a combative one, whoever is up against him. Now here's Kodja. Not got much in the way of support yet, but he might not need it here. Well, the Doma's following up. It was Kieran Clark who got in a critical block there for Newcastle.
Really surprised he tried to cut inside there, Jonathan Kodja. The goal was at his mercy.
Villa Park rising for a minute of very poignant applause. Tragic young man Jack Edwards, who passed away recently as a result of leukemia at the age of just 7. And our sympathies to his family and friends. Here's Westwood. Shelby in there, really strongly.
Could be in trouble.
He certainly could be in trouble.
And he's got this in his locker, hasn't he, John Joe Shelby?
Well, it's going to be yellow.
Could have been a different colour, this. Ball goes, it's gone, and he flies in. And there is no question, red cards are issued for that kind of a challenge.
Extraordinary to see two managers with such histories outside the top level in any country. Yedlin, dangerous! Oh, an own goal! Well, it certainly seemed to come off Elphick, but that Yedlin ball caused all kinds of problems, and Newcastle United have the breakthrough.
But the movement of Dwight Gale is what has caused this. There's a couple of other bits of good player ball in there from Hayden. The Villa captain has gone with his stronger right foot, where perhaps, on reflection, should have been going with a left foot and putting that behind for a corner. He doesn't, and he's paid the price.
Jamal Lascelles. Gale is onside here. Problems for Villa. On he goes. Oh, well, that had to be absolutely right. And it was by Baker.
That could be a game saver.
Oh, it's a gift for Gale. Oh, and we'll talk about game-saving contributions. That was a let-off for Villa.
There's a little look up, tries to find that corner of the net. Galini reads it well.
A case of too many options.
Yeah, I think so.
Shelby. Gouffron. Shelby again. Richie waits. Gale's in there. Elphick was there. Shelby to tee it up. Diame! And still, that first Newcastle goal will not come.
He puts the ball into an area where he knows there'll be an on-rushing teammate. It is Diame. He has to score, pure and simple, no excuses.
Here's Ayew. Gale just a little pull, and that'll be a free kick to Villa. As Ayew delivers here for Villa. It's towards Jedinak, and it's in! Put the flag up.
Well, Newcastle United heed this warning. He is offside. It's the right decision. However, that's how easy this one-goal dominant lead could disappear.
Oh, dances away from Ritchie. And away from Hayden. Oh, he's so unlucky. I thought we were about to acclaim one of the goals of the season.
Wonderful skill there. It bends a country mile, but just not quite enough for Aston Villa. It's a brilliant effort, deserve better.
Ritchie in the way. It's Jedinak. Tishbola. Ayew, Tishbola, down he goes! No penalty, it's going to be a yellow for Tishbola.
And once again, referee perfectly positioned.
Ayew. Bakuna. Dealt with by Kieran Clark. Where's that going to drop? Shelvey hoping to get there. And indeed, I think he got the final touch as he tussled there with James Chester. Oh, to the back. In! Tishbola has done it for Villa! On so many occasions they've thrown it away late on, but now they have grabbed a priceless equaliser.
Far post, peels round the back, and it's a simple header. Goalkeeper, a little bit in no man's land, goes in off the post, and there's the pleasure. They've suffered the pain. There is the pleasure. But the question is, was this a corner? Bounce is right between the two of them. The referee gives the benefit of the doubt.
Newcastle able to see it away initially, but presented there to Ayew. And on he drives. Oh, and Kodja couldn't get the touch.
Well, his reaction tells you how close he was to getting a winner. Shelvey, careless, gives the ball away. Brilliant again from Ayew. Oh, it's inches.
We are unbeaten at home, and it was a great comeback from the team as well, a great spirit that we showed, and I think at the end, if there was one team that was going to win, it was us.
Credit to them, they were pushing, but I think that we could finish the game in the first half. Even in the second half, we have some chances, and then you give them hope that they can score, and they did it.
Well, Villa shipped so many late goals this season, but today they got that late equaliser. Newcastle, though, should have had that game killed off. Lee, was a draw a fair result in the end?
I think it looked like a typical Championship game. I think there's so much quality now in the Championship that different teams have different spells, and when you've got the players on the pitch like that in both big clubs that they are in the Championship, obviously the quality's there, and you've got to be able to defend, and obviously we saw a bit poor defending, but all round there's some great attacking players, and that means both teams are going to have their fair share of possession.
Well, let's see that own goal, first of all. Is this all Tommy Elphick's fault, or is the ball in and Gale's movement too good?
It's a decent ball in, and he knows that Dwight Gale's behind him, but he's got to clear it. He's gone with the outside of his right foot. I think that's the right decision. I think he can't quite believe what he's done. And you can see his reaction after it goes in. You know, he thought it was an easy clearance to make.
If he goes with his left, does he not just hook that away?
I think he was in his stride. He couldn't go with his left, because that would have perhaps made... The ball might have gone past him then. He had to go with the outside of the right foot and got it wrong.
And Gale had a brilliant chance. Diarmi as well, before Villa got the equaliser, really should have killed this game off. How does he miss this, Lee?
It's just such fine lines, isn't it? If they put this away, obviously that's game over. And an unbelievable miss for a player of that quality.
Gale puts him off, doesn't he?
Getting in the way there. He should have finished it off himself, actually, shouldn't he? Tshibala, though, a brilliant substitution for Di Matteo, made all the difference, but Newcastle have to improve defending set pieces,
but I
Alan.
think what Lee was saying there is that the strength of the two squads, they can bring players on like this.
There's about £150 million worth of talent, including on the benches as well.
And when you
today.
consider the length of the season and so many games, it's the size of them squads that are going to count. So at the moment, you know, Newcastle just found out what life's like in the Championship. It's a real tough division, and I think that Villa, although they're not sitting pretty and in a decent position, they will slowly but surely start climbing up. It's a long season.
Yeah, and another tough game coming up for Newcastle as well. They've got Norwich midweek, and it is to the leaders that we turn next. Second place Norwich in action against Burton in a moment. But first, Huddersfield Town.
Yeah, the Terriers stood 2 points clear at the top of the Championship this morning. Could they maintain or even extend that advantage at Reading?
Reading had managed to win at Barnsley in the league and Brighton in the Cup this week, despite having a player sent off in both games. Not an obvious formula for success, but Huddersfield were forced to try it when Rajiv van La Parra picked up 2 yellow cards in 3 first-half minutes. The second for a display of petulance so sustained that referee James Linnington really had no choice, to the obvious annoyance of the Dutch midfielder's teammates. With that, the Terriers' best ever start to a league campaign was in jeopardy against a Reading side who haven't lost at the Medeski since Jaap Stam took charge. John Swift's effort deserved a goal, but a rather less clean strike delivered one before half-time. Callum Harriot's cross finding its way to Roy Berens, another Dutch midfielder, making a more positive contribution thanks to a big deflection. Reading deservedly on course for a first home win over Huddersfield for 15 years, and after the break it might have been more comfortable. Substitute George Evans presented Berens with a chance for his second of the game, but Danny Ward did enough to keep Huddersfield in it. Their second league defeat of the season never became a foregone conclusion, and Reading couldn't relax. They might have done if Stephen Quinn had beaten Ward, but 6 Championship games unbeaten will do, and it's definitely an advantage to keep all 11 on the pitch.
Huddersfield's demise meant informed Norwich would go top if they could get past Burton Albion. That they did so owed much to a pair of unlikely goal scorers. Swedish defender Martin Olsson can hardly be called prolific, but his effort on 29 minutes was a beauty. It was also only his 3rd goal in more than 5 years. That one clearly worth waiting for. Resilient is probably the best word to describe the Brewers, and within seconds of the restart, Nigel Clough's men were level. Norwich unable to clear their lines, and Lucas Akins stabbing in from close range, his first goal since opening day. But any visiting celebrations were silenced within seconds. Almost from the restart, the home side were back in front. Jacob Murphy getting a little bit of luck as his shot took a deflection, leaving keeper John McLaughlin a spectator. 3 points looked to be pretty much guaranteed with 14 minutes to go when Norwich were awarded a penalty and Burton were reduced to 10 men. The already booked Tom Flanagan, the unlucky man, as Graham Doran's drilled effort clearly hit a trailing arm. Referee Jeremy Simpson applied the letter of the law. Flanagan was dismissed, but Robbie Brady was unable to capitalise. McLaughlin went the right way to keep his side in it. The final flourish came from another unexpected source. Portuguese defender Ivo Pinto with a first senior goal. That confirmed Norwich's 5th consecutive win in all competitions, and they head to Newcastle on Wednesday night in some form.
In 3 weeks' time, nobody will talk about the performance. They'll look at it and say 3 wins on the board, 3 points on the board. But like I say, we did more than enough to win the game.
Doing really well, aren't they, at Norwich at the moment? You've actually played all of the sides who came down from the Premier League in your first month. Are Norwich the best team you've played?
I think they are. I think that's fair to say. I think they've got, obviously, some real senior players in there that are now established Championship, but obviously also Premier League players. And they've got energy, movement, they're powerful, they're big, and they tick a lot of boxes that it takes to get promoted. And
you could argue that it might help them that we just spend all our time talking about Newcastle and Villa. It allows them to go
under the radar a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking. You know, they're going about it quietly, but they can't be that quiet because they're top of the league now, and you know, people are talking about them.
Yeah, they replaced Huddersfield at the top. Huddersfield have lost 2 of the last 3 in the league now, and it doesn't help when your players can't keep their mouths shut. Let's have another look at this Van La Parra red card. He's already had a yellow, and then he decides to fall out with the referee, and the reaction of Naki Wells just sums it up.
Well, I'd like to see the reaction of the manager. You know, when he gets hold of him, because it's cost them the game. And it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I think Wells knew something was going to go on because that's why he's got over there.
He sprinted over.
Yeah.
Look at him and say, well, what are you doing? Shut your mouth, you absolute donut, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he might have a little bit more aggressive than that.
Huddersfield, little wobble, or are they do you see them slipping down to
As we said
arguably a
earlier,
position where you'd expect them to?
I think the season's such a long season, and you can get teams, you can put 3 or 4 games together and suddenly fly up that league, and then you lose a couple because they're coming so quick and fast that you drop back down into mid-table. It's a real slog. The thing is consistency, and I always felt the running. You know, if you're in and around it, then the running comes. If you're successful in that, then that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. OK, well, join us after the break. We've got more from the Sky Bet Championship.
Including Nottingham Forest, always worth watching, really. 33 goals for or against this season. No one else has seen more. They were at Sheffield Wednesday. Welcome back to Football on 5, and a look next beneath the summit at the Championship's chasing pack.
Yeah, first up, it's 4th against 7th. Brighton and Barnsley met at the Amex.
Brighton's strong home form goes back to New Year's Day. Just 1 league defeat since January the 1st. And Glenn Murray had the first chance to put them ahead here, but his shot was saved. Murray on loan from Bournemouth and Anthony Knockart have scored all but one of Brighton's league goals at the Amex this season. It was Knockart's fine work here to find Biram Kayal, who unselfishly allowed Murray to put the Seagulls in front. And just after half-time, Brighton would double their lead. Yuri Skalak's free kick, finding Murray to score his 2nd of the day and his 5th of the season. Barnsley have had their best start to a season in 20 years, but their first shot on target here came in the 75th minute. David Stockdale denied Josh Scowen. Brighton have a 3rd win on the trot.
Rangers had lost their last 3 games in all competitions, including a 6-0 thrashing by Newcastle in their previous home league match. Birmingham, with 10 points from their last 4 games, forced the early pace. Lukas Djukovic bringing out a smart save from Alex Smithies. But the Blues striker couldn't miss soon afterwards when set up by Michael Morrison to claim his 2nd goal in successive matches and leave Rangers fearing the worst. But Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's men reacted strongly, and when former England international Stephen Corker squeezed in a header to equalise, it was thoroughly deserved. Neither side could find a winner, although Rangers came closest. Both Massimo Luongo from just inside the box and then Ariel Borishuk from well outside it tested Adam Legston's reactions. So it's 4 games without a victory now for the home side, 5 without defeat for Birmingham.
Walter Zenga made changes after the EFL Cup defeat by Newcastle, but João Teixeira retained his place, and everyone at Molineux was surely grateful he did. The Portuguese winger's dancing feet delivered this game's first talking point, surely clipped by a clumsy challenge, but the home side's appeals waved away by referee Andy Davis. The decision clearly agitated the Wolves' boss, but Zenga will have cheered up from the moment Helder Costa set off 2 minutes after the break. One Portuguese flyer finding another, and Teixeira couldn't resist some more fancy footwork before he rolled in his first goal for the club. 10 minutes later, the 22-year-old continued his best display since his loan move from Benfica with a well-struck free kick, which clearly shouldn't have evaded everyone on its way into the net. This wasn't how Brentford had planned to follow 7 points from their 3 league games last week, but midway through the second half, Sully Kaikai changed the mood, his first goal on loan from Crystal Palace. And then came talking point number 2, Kaikai's free kick into the box, handled by Matt Doherty, at least according to Brentford's incensed players. Harley Dean's protest earning him a booking and nothing else. And in the end, Wolves did a little more than just hang on. In the 3rd minute of stoppage time, John Dardy Bodvarsson broke away, and the club's record signing Ivan Cavallero kept up with him, his first Wolves goal. An emphatic-looking win, decided by fine margins.
Have you asked the referee why he missed that? Because all your players went up for it, and it was quite clearly a handball.
It was quite clear it was handball. All the players went up, but he said he didn't see it. So, typical answer.
Well, a 3rd straight championship win for Brighton. 3 clean sheets, and the first team this season as well to stop Barnsley from scoring, just defending so well. Alan, what did you think of Glenn Murray today?
Well, I think that, you know, when you sign a player that experience, he's been there and done it, and I think he just needed a platform. He wasn't going to get a look in at Bournemouth, so it's a great move for him, great move for Brighton as well. You know, they've got someone who I think will get them 20 goals this season at least.
Doing so well in this division for 2 or 3 seasons now. Is this the year that they're finally going to do it, Brighton?
I think they're one of the best sides in the division, there's no doubt on that. The way they've built their stadium, their training ground, every sort of building block they've put in place is now coming to fruition, and I thoroughly expect them to be right up there in the top 6.
Right, let's go to Hillsborough next, and the meeting of Sheffield Wednesday and Nottingham Forest. 2
clubs with large and expectant followings, but the Owls were beaten by 2 late goals at Birmingham last week, while Forest lost to Norwich. Commentary on this one from Paul Walker.
Hutchinson. Tom Lees. Hooper. Wallace. Faced by Cohen. Intelligent run here from Kieran Lee. And Mancian having to clear. Wallace has a go. And Stojkovic tips it away for the corner. Well, he knew exactly what he wanted to do, didn't he, Ross Wallace, as soon as he picked this one up. Only one thing on his mind there, and Stojkovic extended. A lively start, though, from the Owls here. Forestieri puts it through the legs of Cohen, and then showed too much of it to George Grant, but the whistle had gone. Another free kick given away. Hooper, lovely ball into Wallace. Hooper wanting it back, getting it back. Gary Hooper pulls it wide of the far post. Good chance for Sheffield Wednesday, this. Fletcher rising for this. Hooper was circling as well. Here is Stephen Fletcher! What a save from Stojkovic. Did brilliantly, the goalkeeper. Lovely volley from Fletcher. There's Philippe Montagnier, Forest's first ever foreign coach. Former goalkeeper in his time. Wednesday come forward once more. Hutchinson. Reach. Sends it over. Cleared by Mills. First onto it is Bannon. Stands up across for Hooper. Oh, Forestieri, and now Fletcher. And Mancian stabs it away. Forest survived by the skin of their teeth. Should have been dealt with far easier than it was done initially by Nottingham Forest. Forest have won 3 of their last 4 visits to this ground. Can they improve on that record? Carriol has managed to get round Adam Reach here. Good ball inside for Lansbury, has a look, has a go! Oh, it's in! It took a wicked deflection, but against the run of play, Henry Lansbury has given Nottingham Forest the lead here at Hillsborough. One touch, had a look, and it goes fizzing over Kieran Westwood, in off the underside of the bar. Lehigh, Osborne, Lehigh continued the run, sends it over, good header, Velios! Terrific save, Westwood. Kieran Westwood showing exactly what he's got in his locker. That is an excellent save, full length to his left. Goes off Osborne for a corner. How long can Forest hang on for? Wallace sent it in. Lubens was up there and hammered home by Kieran Lee! On his 150th appearance for the club, Kieran Lee drags Sheffield Wednesday level. Kieran Lee, crowd trying to urge their team to go forward, which they are doing now. Reach, lovely ball inside for Wallace. Lifted in, might go in, and cleared off the line by Cohen. Forest survive.
Cross comes shot, and Cohen quickly on the line to clear away. 5 minutes added on. Pereira straight down the middle for Osborne. Hodgkinson going with him, goes down, no free kick. Well, I'm surprised at that one. That looked like a free kick to me. Westwood way out of his goal here, the keeper. Newu's flick into Fletcher. Now Forestieri against Mancian round the corner. Fletcher, and now turned in for Kieran Lee, who's got another one. He was the hero against Bristol City late on, and he's the hero again. It is another dramatic home win for Sheffield Wednesday, who have come from behind again to take all 3 points.
Carlos, not good for the heart rate, that. Another late win. What are your thoughts at the end of it all?
Yeah, I said now to my players that if them plan is to try to kill me, they are very near, because one game more like this and they will kill me, absolutely sure, and I don't want to die.
150th appearance for the club, and to mark that with 2 goals, you must be beaming.
Yeah, definitely. I've enjoyed every single game I've played here. I appreciate all the support from the fans. 150 is quite a lot, and obviously to cap it off with 2 goals is perfect, really, in the win.
Tidy little finish, the second one as well. 3 wins in for Sheffield Wednesday. Alan, they were up against one of the worst defences at the moment in the league. Did we see those Forest frailties again today?
Well, he did on that set play. I mean, I can't understand why managers don't have players on the post. It would have been cleared if they'd had someone on the post there from a set play.
Well, same as Newcastle, they didn't have anyone on the post.
And, you know, managers decide which way they're going to go, but, you know, Lee would tell you, the hardest thing is to score goals. Perhaps the easiest part of the game is to defend. And, you know, it's all about organisation and a willingness to do it. And it looks like Forest are happy going forward, but not so happy defending.
Do you think, Lee, they'll be stronger Wednesday this season for their experience of last season?
I think so. I think they've got the players sort of integrated in the manager's system. I love the way they play. Lee, a little bugger, has popped up 3 or 4 times against us on Tuesday night with a late winner, and he just keeps bombing on. And it's so difficult when they throw caution to the wind to deal with, and they've got some really, really good players, and like I say, just love watching them play.
They like scoring late goals, that's for sure. Stay with us for more Sky Bet Championship action, including the teams at the bottom. This chap wasn't the only one. Here he is, struggling at Derby against Blackburn today. Welcome back to Football on 5. The Sky Bet Championship's bottom 6 paired off this weekend as Preston North End met Wigan, Derby County took on Blackburn, and Rotherham played the bottom side, Cardiff City.
And first up was last night's Lancashire derby between Preston and Wigan. Just 3 wins between them out of 16 attempts this season. Andy Hinchcliffe and Gary Weaver saw this one.
In by Gallagher. It was Buxton who took charge for Wigan. There's Paul Gallagher again. And then a Hugo with a header and Fike Allwards and deflected in. And Deepdale shakes to the sound of Preston North End joy. Jordan Hugo claims it as the ball came his way.
He's definitely onside Hugo as that ball is struck. Doesn't seem to know too much about it. I'm sure he'll say, well, it just in his body, he guided it into the corner. To me, it just seemed to strike him. Right there, he just comes off his knee. There's no way Bogdan can adjust his position and make a save quickly enough. There might have been a free kick in there as this ball was played into the box. Shirt pulling, is it Tom Clark at the far stick? Maybe a bit of a complaint, but maybe not enough. Referee's in a great position.
Wiltshire waiting for the ball to come his way. Wiltshire's on the move now. Well, Powell was calling for it, didn't come his way. Will Grigg trying to appear at the far post. So good in the air, but he couldn't quite get over it that time.
Oh, for a striker of his quality, should be doing better with this.
Alan Brown, and this is a chance, and almost a second goal for Jordan Hugill. Adam Bogdan getting down low to get a big touch on that. brilliant save, great reflexes. And he's a man who can write the guidebook on getting out of the third tier of English football. He's done it 4 times. How he'd love a promotion to the Premier League on his CV, Simon Grayson as a manager. Grigg on the move here. Will Grigg delivering almost a perfect cross. It's dropped through to Nathan Byrne. Maxwell with the first save, and Byrne strikes the post on the follow-up. How close can you get?
He is so unfortunate to see it strike the outside of the post.
Pearson. Nice touch from Ben Pearson. Pearson, he's still going. Ben Pearson! That had dream goal written all over it.
Well, he simply barges his way through. It opens up really nicely for him. And he just settles himself here. What an opportunity. Go back across Bogdan. And I think he makes it 2-0 and the game is over.
We were looking to, go from strength to strength, and we feel his performances have been doing well, just not getting the results. But now we're getting the results that I feel that we deserve. It was a tough game, they passed the ball really well, but I felt that we, as a team, worked very hard.
I think we were the better team for the whole game. There was a ludicrous decision for the first goal. The linesman, I can hear him telling the ref that there's a clear push. Everyone sees a clear push, and for some reason the ref decides to make his own judgment on it.
So Wigan left nursing a grievance on Friday night. That left 4 down at the bottom for us to see, and it's not hard to see why this quartet were where they were at the start of play.
Yeah, not really. No one's had a leakier defence than Rotherham. Cardiff's second top scorer was the own goals of Shane Duffy from that infamous match against Blackburn. Derby, well, they could do with some sort of that help, really. 2 goals scored in the league prior to today. And Blackburn, well, they were bottom until they finally got off the mark last weekend, beating Rotherham. And that's where we start. Rotherham against Cardiff, whose manager Paul Trollope received the backing of his board this week.
2 teams who've forgotten how to win in recent weeks, and both desperate for 3 points here as a result. It was Rotherham who started the brighter, Danny Ward giving an early test to Ben Amos in the Cardiff goal. The saving grace for the Millers this season has been their home form. They looked a good bet to preserve their unbeaten record in their own backyard when a long throw resulted in some penalty box pinball. Chelsea loanee Izzy Brown eventually popping up at the back post to break the deadlock on the hour. That was Brown's second goal of the season, 2 more than Ricky Lambert. But Cardiff knew what they were getting when they brought the veteran striker in, and far post headers have been a staple of Lambert's career. His first goal as a Bluebird was followed by a second 6 minutes later, albeit helped by a cruel deflection off Darnell Fisher. But if you're Paul Trollope and you've just been given a vote of confidence by the board, you'll take any good fortune that's going.
There was a real good spirit amongst the group today, and a determination to get the result. And despite going behind, obviously in a little bit of adversity, we showed great spirit and character to bounce back and get back on top of the game and end up winning.
Striker Darren Bent recalled up front for Derby, new signing Wes Brown on the bench for Blackburn. Both these clubs clearly keen to recapture former glories. 4 goals against Rotherham last week suggested Rovers were finding their feet, and when Marvin Emnes lost his after a challenge from Richard Keogh just before half-time, they had the chance to lead at the iPro. Ben Marshall stepped up only to miss the spot kick and the rebound too. Just as well that wouldn't have counted because no one else had touched the ball. To take advantage of that reprieve, Derby would have to do something they hadn't managed so far this season, score a league goal in front of their fans. And midway through the second half, Matej Vidra made a first repayment on his £8 million price tag. After such a long wait, taking the lead at home was clearly a moment to savour. Instead, Derby surrendered it after a minute. The space and time that Emnes was given will surely tax Nigel Pearson, even if it was hard to legislate for the decisive deflection off Keogh. Now this game was being played in fast forward. After 2 goals in as many minutes, we nearly had another moments later. Nick Blackman's cross met by Vidra, who was denied superbly by Jason Steele. A point apiece might have suited 2 teams lacking in confidence, but as it got faster, the game also got better, and a move of real quality condemned County to a 5th defeat in 6 in all competitions. Danny Graham with the finishing touch to move Blackburn out of the bottom 3 and drop Derby into it.
Ultimately, at the moment, we need whoever's selected in the team to go out there and give a committed performance for the entirety of the game. And at the moment, I can't guarantee that. And that's something as the manager who's responsible for the team, which is a very difficult thing to admit and say.
Strong words there from Nigel Pearson after that 4th straight home defeat for Derby. Lee, what do you think about him calling his players out like that after the game?
Well, it's a difficult one. He obviously feels that it's warranted to say that. I think that sometimes, obviously, it's emotional and he'll be disappointed that he's lost that game. But they've got some really good players and he's a top manager and it's early days, so I fully expect them to come back and bounce back. And sometimes it's just that win, it's just that goal, it's that little bit of luck that you need. We played them last week and we scored literally in the last minute. That's their first goal at home. Like
You thought that would be a turning point, but how do they then let it slip through their fingers, Alan? It's almost like they're so relieved to score that they just switch off.
Listen, confidence is a massive thing in any walk of life, especially in football. And as Lee is saying, you know, they need a boost. Perhaps if they'd got a result today, Nigel wouldn't have come out with them statements, and they go on to...
Have you ever done that? Have you ever come out and had a go at your team saying, I can't guarantee their commitment?
No.
Because those are very, very strong comments.
No, it does take something for a manager to come out and be that public.
He's also talked about being paralysed by fear and feeling the anxiety around the crowd from the first minute. What can you do as a manager to try and turn it around when there's clearly sort of a mental problem there as well?
Yeah, I think sometimes it is pressure. They're a big club. Their expectation is really high. Obviously, they've done well in previous years and not quite made it probably when they should have done. But like I say, they're full of good players, and I think sometimes tactically, sometimes you just need to play a bit tighter, a bit closer together. Sometimes it's one player that can be the catalyst, like a leader that you bring in, or a young player that comes through and shows something to give the crowd a boost. And I think you need that in big clubs, and they've got enough strong-minded players there to bounce back, and I'm one that fully believes that they'll do all right.
Blackburn certainly turning things around. A good day for them and a massive win as well for Cardiff and for Paul Trollope today. Stay with us, though. More action from the Sky Bet Championship coming up next. We'll see if Lee's hard work on the training ground paid off at Fulham today. Welcome back to Football on 5. A little bit of history now between Lee Johnson here and this show of ours. He came on as a guest in January on the day his Barnsley side grabbed a late winner. Then he came on again in March, straight from Craven Cottage, where his new Bristol City side won the game in the last minute. And on Wednesday this week, Bristol City returned to Fulham in the EFL Cup. And yes, that's right, they won again in the last minute.
So we're claiming this, right?
It's all us, all down to us.
We're claiming a huge assist for this. Well, today they played at Fulham again, so could appearing on Football on 5 once more cause a Lee Johnson side to score a dramatic last gasp winner. And no, you didn't need one, did you, today? Because you scored early, and that was kind of it from then on in.
Yeah, we've needed an early goal, to be honest. I think Fulham are such a good side. They had decent spells of possession, and we had to weather the storm. But once we did, it's the first goal, quite early, obviously, Tammy Abraham. But it's the way we win the ball, good press. Their
really
fullbacks,
high pressing. Do you work on that?
Yeah, we work on it a lot, but their fullbacks were so high that when we did play that first pass early, we always had a chance, and there's Tammy again.
We don't miss them the way he's playing.
Yeah, I think he
10th
scored.
of the season.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and I think if you added them up, they wouldn't have equalled 18 yards. That's how.
This is old boy Scott Parker saying welcome to football to the young man. Was that a red?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just giving one there, probably, like you say, just to give him a little lesson. But he bounced back, he got up, and he cracked on.
Fulham was still very much in it at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, they've got a lot of good players, and we had to weather the storm for a certain period, but we always felt we'd come good with our fitness and the quality we've got high up the pitch. This is fantastic dribble from Lee Tomlin. It takes 4 or 5 players out of the game and then unselfishly puts it on a plate for Luke Freeman.
That was on the hour. Did you sense that was game over?
Not really. I think as a coach or manager, you never feel like that. You want to make sure you're vigilant. But then the game did start opening up, and like I say, when the game does open up, we have got quality little footballers that are quite mobile and bright, and we managed to exploit that. Delighted for Bobby Reid, the young academy product, to get a goal there.
Now, here was a red card. Parker's was a yellow. Was that a red? That was the sending off that was given.
I thought it was a bit harsh, to be honest.
You did?
Yeah, I didn't feel that was a red, certainly on the day live. And then result of the second phase, Big Flint. We asked him to score today, and he'd be delighted with that.
Biggest away win in the second tier for the club since, I think, February at the start of 2011. Abraham scoring again. Is there any chance of you keeping hold of him?
If you got a spare 50 million, maybe. No, he's been fantastic, not only in his play, but in his personality. He's 18 years old, but a lovely kid. He's got a lovely family, and they look after him. Chelsea have entrusted us with one of their top young players, and we're delighted to have him. And if he can continue the form that he's on at the moment, then, like I say, the world's his oyster.
And what a bit of business as well. You got him in for free, and you got 40 million for Codger, and you got someone who's banging in even more goals.
Yeah, well, obviously, we were disappointed to lose Jonathan, because Jonathan done very well for us, but it was a big move and a figure that the club felt was right to let him go, given the fact that we had a ready-made replacement there to go. And we spent a little bit of money in the summer on some young players, and it's worked out nicely at this moment in time, and long may it continue.
All right, we've got one more game to show you from the Championship. Leeds United have won 3 in a row in League and Cup. It's 6.5 years since they managed 4.
Well, they were trying to achieve that today against Ipswich. Mick McCarthy's men have won 3 in total this season, but with just 2 points off the top 6 at kick-off.
A difficult start to the season for Leeds, but they've recovered as they look for that 4th straight win. Kiwi Chris Wood was central to most of their best chances here, though this effort hit the post and the follow-up from Calvin Phillips was wide. Ipswich have one of the tightest defences in the Championship, but it was Leeds who scored first. 10 minutes before the break, Charlie Taylor crossed for Wood to score his 7th of the season and 4th in 4 games. Gary Monk's side unable to add to that lead. Phillips' free kick was saved. Leeds' victory run continues. They have their first home clean sheet since February.
The way that I am, I always want a bit more, demand a little bit more. I think it was 1-0. I think we have to demand more from ourselves and make sure we get those extra couple of goals to make it easier for ourselves. But that's never easy in any level or any game, especially in the Championship. But we're growing.
That result sees Leeds move into the top half of the table for the first time this season. Norwich are now top of the Championship, but thanks to their win over Burton, they're a point clear of Huddersfield. Brighton and Reading are up to 3rd and 4th, respectively.
At the other end of the table, Wigan are now bottom of the league, a point behind Rotherham and Derby County.
So Leeds in the top half after a difficult start, Alan. What do you think of the way Gary Monk now has Leeds playing and the way he came through that earlier bout of pressure?
Well, I spoke earlier about confidence, and you can see the confidence just in, I suppose, epitomised by the centre forward. You know, how he's playing at the moment.
He was getting hammered at the start of the season.
Absolutely, and the team was, Gary Monk was, but, you know, a couple of results on the spin, you can just see the confidence come back. And, you know, I do find it in the Championship that perhaps most of the managers are under pressure. It's just the nature of the game. And,
you're saying he's not?
Well, he's doing all right at the moment, but you know it can change so quickly. You know, and if you're struggling at the moment, you can put 2 or 3 wins together. It changes the whole impact of it all. And if you're doing OK and you lose a couple on the spin, then it's doom and gloom. And it is the most precarious position for managers in the Championship because of the prize. The prize is so great, and if that chairman, that owner, feels that perhaps it's not going to happen, they're not hesitating, and we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years so many dismissals, and, you know, that's the nature of the beast in the Championship at the moment.
And you can see it as well, just in Gary Monk's body language. He's got so much more about him than he did
and feels he's starting to put his stamp on that team. All right, stay with us. So for Goal Rush, that's coming next from Sky Bet Leagues 1 and 2, featuring leader Scunthorpe, who took on an equally resurgent Sheffield United at Glanford Park.
Welcome to Goal Rush on Football on 5, and we're going to start in Sky Bet League 1 with the leaders Scunthorpe having made their best start to a season for 59 years. That was until they drew with Charlton in midweek.
Don't you just hate it when a good stat gets ruined, but the record of manager Graham Alexander still makes for impressive reading. The facts speak for themselves, as you can see. In fact, before today, the Irons' unbeaten home record stretches back into the pre-Alexander period. The last team to take 3 points away from Glanford Park was Sheffield United last Christmas, and they were the visitors today.
Sheffield United were chasing their 5th straight win in the league, and Scunthorpe hadn't conceded in their last 3 games. But the Blades upset another stat by taking the lead in a tight first half. A clever set piece setting up Chris Basham, who scored his first goal of the season. Scunthorpe had started the day 2 points clear at the top of the table and were determined not to lose their home record to the Blades for a second time. Josh Morris put them back level in the second half with his 7th league goal since joining from Bradford in the summer. Things turned ugly after that. Goalscorer Basham certainly wasn't bashful with this challenge on Neil Bishop with 20 minutes left on the clock. It earned him a straight red, his first sending off of the season, to go with his first goal. Scunthorpe thought they'd finish the game off. Dwayne Holmes has impressed since joining from Huddersfield and said all he needed was a goal to boost his confidence. He got one, and what a goal it was. Scunthorpe should have extended their lead at the top, but 3 minutes later, Stefan Skugel was fouled in the box, and Blades captain Billy Sharp stepped up to score his 5th of the season and earn a point against his former side. At least Graham Alexander's home record, though, was still intact.
The players are in great spirits. Listen, we're a bit disappointed today because, you know, we're professionals and we want to win. And, you know, being 2-1 up, we should see the game out. But, you know, we've got to look at the bigger picture, and we made a great start to the campaign. But we've got another tough one on Tuesday.
Yeah, they're going well. And as he said there, Anish, the players are bouncing at the moment. How do you assess the job that he's done?
Oh, fantastic. And you know, I think that once you get a group of players together that believe in what the manager wants and they're all in it together, you can go a long way. And I think that's what they've got there at Scunthorpe. I think that you can see the crowd's up for it, and you know that goes a long way. That
when
enthusiasm.
you've got a guy, Josh Morris, there doing that from that position, 7 goals and 4 assists so far, that's going to help a lot.
I think when we spoke a lot about confidence, and when players are playing with confidence, you know they can produce goals like he's producing week in, week out.
Right, the team Scunthorpe replaced at the top last week was Bolton, who lost their unbeaten record at the same time.
And today, Wanderers were looking to get back on the right path against manager Phil Parkinson's former club, the still unbeaten Bradford City.
Bradford may be unbeaten, but they're looking for their first win in more than a month. And Geordie Harula's weak effort did little to test Mark Howard in the Bolton goal. A strong start for Parkinson's side is now 5 games without a win. Zach Clough's shot after a clever flick from Jamie Proctor. Bradford have drawn 5 in a row for the first time in 25 years.
Port Vale's fine start to the season was only missing an away win, and the pre-season relegation favourites looked odds-on when the Rovers' defence got in a tangle and Martin Patterson fired the visitors in front. Tuesday night's win at Swindon broke a run of 4 league draws for Rovers, and if that suggests they're hard to beat, so it proved. Ellis Harrison emphatically equalised from Lee Brown's cross, and when substitute Byron Moore was hauled down by Paulo Tavares, Rovers had a penalty just past the hour. With regular taker Matty Taylor injured, veteran Jermaine Easter stepped forward, and Darrell Clark's side were giving their 6-match unbeaten league run a little more sparkle. They might have added even more gloss before the end. Moore's clever chip beat Jack Annick, but not the post late on. But it was damage done for Vale, who will surely be happy to have 2 home games coming up this week.
With Chesterfield's top scorer Ched Evans still not fit, Danny Wilson stuck with the partnership of Connor Wilkinson and Christian Dennis up front, and saw Wilkinson denied by the post at the end of the first half. Moments later, in-form Bury took the lead. They've won their last 4 games in all competitions, and Zeli Ishmael put them in front with a superb volley, scoring his first league goal for the club. The celebrations didn't last long, though. It took Chesterfield just 3 minutes to equalise. Wilkinson's pass put through Dennis, who bundled in just before the break. So drama at the end of the first half, and that's how the second half ended too. Substitute Tom Walker's cross found Tom Pope, who steered in the winner for Bury in the 87th minute. David Flickroft's side have now won 3 home games on the bounce and move up to second.
After 4 league games without a win, MK Dons needed a touch of inspiration, and it's fair to say they got just that from Ryan Colclough. The striker is on loan from Wigan, and from the moment he cut in from the left and found the far corner with his right foot, this was to be very much his day. That 9th-minute goal gave the visitors the edge in a tight first half, which almost ended all square. Fleetwood's Nathan Pond headed against the crossbar as Uwe Rosler's side sought to extend an 8-match unbeaten home league run. But they couldn't handle Colclough, and another run into the box created the air of panic, which led to Jimmy Ryan upending Dean Bowditch. He got up to convert the penalty himself for 2-0 to the Dons just past the hour. And that was the last time that Colclough had to share the limelight. Midway through the second half, the 21-year-old was off and running again up Route 1, and the power of the strike provides some excuse for homekeeper Chris Neal. Fleetwood's fading hopes of avoiding a first home defeat of the season required a speedy response, and they got it when Bobby Grant's hopeful hit somehow evaded David Martin. A bit of a shame on his 300th league appearance. That's how it stayed until stoppage time, but one more clever run, this time from George Baldock, was stopped by one more clumsy tackle, and the story was complete. Colclough handed spot kick duties to complete his first ever hat-trick, and a surprisingly convincing away day for the Dons.
Work started this week on the movie about AFC Wimbledon's rise, and the Dons had their own blockbuster opening after just 6 minutes when Lyle Taylor steered home Dean Parrott's corner. 5 defeats in their last 6 for Shrewsbury, but they were level just after the break when Ian Black was allowed plenty of room to score his first since November. Mickey Mellon's first game in charge of the Shrews was against Wimbledon, and that ended in a draw. But his side were down to 10 men when Ivan Toney was shown a second yellow for that challenge. Wimbledon couldn't take advantage of that extra man though, so no Hollywood ending this time.
Well, it's Mary Berry at the moment on a real run. 4 wins in the league in a row. Lee, are they exceeding your expectations?
Well, they've got some good players, there's no doubt in that. They've got quite a lot of experience through the division, and obviously you see people like Big Pope cropping up with a winner. And
he was put on the transfer list in the summer. It's unbelievable the way he's playing.
It's interesting because obviously when you pay sort of decent money to top players that have been quite consistent scoring goals in the division, if they then don't produce what you thought they might, probably due to injury, more likely than not, he's got himself in good nick. He looks fit, he looks lean, and like I say, Tom Pope looking lean and fit is a tough proposition for any defence in League One.
Certainly doing everything right at the moment. OK, Coventry City's troubled season took another twist yesterday. Local newspaper The Telegraph announced it had been stopped from speaking to manager Tony Mowbray and the Sky Blues players. The paper had launched a petition on Tuesday urging City's owners, Sisu, to put the club up for sale.
Well, bottom of League One and still looking for their first league win today. Coventry went to 13th place, Gillingham.
So what else can go wrong for League One's only winless team? Well, quite a bit. It's not even Kyle Reid's 21st-minute opener could lift the gloom. Coventry in turmoil in the boardroom, bottom of the table, feuding with the local paper, now unable to hang on to a lead. That lead lasted all of 5 minutes, and when you don't mark up at set pieces, you're asking for trouble. Max Ehmer, the grateful recipient, the German's 3rd league goal of the season. And the inevitable arrived 18 minutes from time. Again, Coventry, the architects of their own downfall. No one anywhere near Billy Knott, leaving the former Bradford City man with the easiest of finishes. The good news for Coventry and Tony Mowbray? The only way is up.
Walsall were looking for their first away win of the league season and got themselves off to a decent start. Flo Cavalier returned after a month out and provided the cross for Simeon Jackson. Their lead didn't last long though. Walsall keeper Neil Etheridge could do nothing to stop Peterborough drawing level 10 minutes later. A curling shot from Marcus Maddison, hard to stop. Walsall almost took all 3 points in the dying minutes, but Scott Laird smashed the inside of the post, denying John Whitney that elusive away victory.
It's tough being an Oldham fan, not a home league win all season, and that theme continued. Just 18 minutes gone and Jonathan Obika slotted home his 2nd goal of the season after a smart through ball from John Goddard. Swindon ended a run of 3 consecutive league defeats by wrapping things up in the second half. Brandon Ormond Otterwill scoring from close range after another assist from Goddard. The Robins positively flying.
Double Paralympic swimming medalist and Cobblers fan Ellie Robinson was at Sixfields to see if Northampton, who lost their 31-match unbeaten league run a week ago, could start building another. And her team went ahead when former Southend loanee John Joe O'Toole capitalised on an error by Mark Oxley. That triggered a collapse by the visitors. Southend defender Jason Demetriou was sent off for a foul on Paul Anderson. And Alex Ravel, who'd converted a penalty in the midweek cup defeat by Manchester United, did so again. 6 goals in all competitions now for him. Game over. Well, the Shrimpers wished it had been, but on it went. Veteran midfielder Matt Taylor, enjoying an Indian summer, conjured up a brilliant free kick for 3-0. And Anderson got in on the act too, making it 4 to lift Northampton to 5th and plunge Southend to 1 off the bottom.
Millwall hadn't lost a league game at the Den since February, and Rochdale had never won here. But records are there to be broken, and with Callum Camps left unmarked, Keith Hill's side were ahead after just 9 minutes. The Lions were unbeaten in 12 league games at home and had only conceded 4 goals in that run until today. They reacted to going a goal down immediately with some neat play that left Aidan O'Brien to tap home his 3rd goal in as many games. And Millwall weren't finished there. 7 minutes later, the striker earned his side a penalty after a push in the box from Niall Canavan left the referee with no option. And it was Lee Gregory on his 100th appearance who sent Josh Lillis the wrong way to score his 2nd goal and penalty of the season. Keith Hill's side massively improved in the second half. Joe Bunning's free kick found Calvin Andrew, who headed in his first of the campaign. And the drama wasn't over there. Millwall were left to play the last 20 minutes of the game with 10 men after Ben Thompson picked up a 2nd yellow and took a walk back to the dressing room. Things went from bad to worse for Neil Harris. In the 3rd minute of injury time, Steve Davies was fouled in the box, and after picking up their first win of the season last weekend, Rochdale made it 2 from 2, with Ian Henderson smashing home the penalty, grabbing the points and ending Millwall's unbeaten home run.
For the 3rd time this season, Charlton faced a club that were 2 divisions below them a year ago. Oxford hadn't conceded in their last 3 games, but that 341-minute run was ended when Oxford's Phil Edwards handled in the box and Johnny Jackson fired in from the spot. The lead, though, lasted a mere 13 minutes as Chris Maguire netted splendidly after an excellent move for his 3rd goal in as many games to make it all square. Addicks finished the game with a point, but only 10 men after Harry Lennon was dismissed for a shocking foul on Liam Sercombe. But there wasn't enough time left for Oxford to profit, and both sides remain bottom half.
Scunthorpe stay top of the league, and it's now Bury who are up to 2nd. Bolton dropped to 3rd, a point clear of Bradford.
At the bottom of the table, here we go, Coventry. There they are, continue to prop up the rest. That impressive late win for Rochdale at Millwall lifts them up into 19th. Alan, quick words on Charlton. Fans and the board, nothing's changed there.
No.
Complete disagreement. How do you assess the current health? Any signs at all of hope?
Well, it's quite depressing, I think, that, you know, they're at loggerheads. The fans and the board are at loggerheads. It's not helping the team at all. I think when Russell Slade went in at the start of the season, I think a lot of fans were infused that they had a manager who understood the league and had been around a bit and knew what the club was about. But it looks as if perhaps he's not had the backing and the results are not there. And you're looking now in the bottom half of the table and looking over their shoulders, only a few points off of the bottom places.
So any sign of... Can you give Charlton fans anything to grasp?
Well, not at the moment. I think that the fact that the fans not turning up watching the games, it's a fantastic stadium. It's not even a third full. So it's difficult times there for the players and the fans and the board. I mean, the people that own the club, I think, have got some big decisions to make.
Sad situation for the fans, that's for sure. OK, stay with us. We have all the action from League Two coming up next, including could leaders Plymouth Argyle make it 7 out of 7?
Welcome back. This is Goal Rush on Football and 5 and in Sky Bet League 2. Well, things could not really have gone much better for Plymouth over the last 6 weeks. 6 consecutive wins, 2 goals conceded, a Devon derby win. Oh, and top spot as well in Sky Bet League 2.
But beware, today's visitors Hartlepool have had 2 away league wins this season, and they came at Yeovil and Exeter, so they clearly enjoy their long trips to the West Country.
That run of wins for Plymouth has given them the best start to a season in 65 years. But Hartlepool took the lead with this excellent effort, Nathan Thomas scoring against his former team with his 4th in as many games. The form side in the Football League had to wait till the 84th minute to draw level. Toto Inciala's high kick on Jimmy Spencer led to Jake Jervis equalising with his first league goal at home park in almost a year. Hartlepool boss Craig Hignett was so incensed by that penalty decision, he was sent to the stands. Scott Harrison, already on a yellow, also dismissed for kicking the ball away, but there was to be no magnificent 7 for Plymouth.
Donny's bid to bounce straight back into League One appeared to be on course after a fine start, while Luton were on the slide after 2 straight defeats. And Rovers' James Coppinger threatened to maintain the form of both sides as he netted for the 3rd game running and the 5th time this season. But their dominance didn't last as the Hatters reacted strongly. Cameron McGeehan rediscovered his goal touch with his 5th of the season after 5 games without one. And worse was to follow for the visitors as Jack Marriott put them behind 5 minutes later to transform the game before half-time. And the points were secured when Joe Wright fouled Peli Ruddock Mpanzu for a penalty which McGeehan fired down the middle for his 2nd of the game. Luton lost Danny Hilton, who became surely the first player ever to pick up a 2nd yellow card for hurling a litter picker to the ground. But they rocket up from 7th to overtake Doncaster and go 3rd.
Blackpool have only won 2 of their opening 8 games and arguably need all the help they can get. So Crewe's John Guthrie turning into his own net after 10 minutes was a welcome gift for Gary Bowyer. Crewe boss Steve Davis admitted after the game that he almost substituted Ryan Lowe. Luckily, he kept faith with his striker, whose equaliser earned them a point, but they still missed the chance to move into the top 3.
Crawley sub Adi Youssef single-handedly turned this game on its head, putting his side in front in the 72nd minute. He turned provider 7 minutes from time, laying the ball back for James Collins to score his 4th league goal this term. Morecambe gave themselves some hope when Michael Rose curled a free kick round the Crawley wall. Back came Crawley and that man Youssef, deja vu as he set up midfielder Jimmy Smith this time for his side's 3rd. Morecambe still made a fight of it, Ryan Edwards heading down this cross for Cole Stockton to smash in another goal in the 93rd minute. Crawley held on for their first back-to-back victories in almost a year.
Pompey, who fell short in the playoffs last season, are determined to go one better. But it didn't start well against Barnet. Ex-Pompey striker John Akindi can't stop scoring for the Bees and netted his 14th goal in the last 16 games from the penalty spot after Tom Davis had handled. But Pompey have won 4 of their last 5 games and showed why. Connor Chaplin collected Gary Roberts' pass and equalised neatly 10 minutes before the interval. And they took total control with an absolutely storming second half. The informed Roberts produced a magnificent goal, his 6th in as many games, to make it 2-1. Carl Baker's also chipped in with goals from midfield this season, and his 3rd of the campaign was Portsmouth's 3rd of the match. Any hope of a Barnet renaissance vanished when Bira Dembele was sent off for hauling down Chaplin inside the box. And although Roberts saw his spot kick magnificently saved by Josh Vickers, it didn't silence the Pompey chimes. Milan Lalkovic, once of Chelsea, made it 4-1 with his first goal for Pompey in his 8th appearance for the club. And stoppage time led to yet more Barnet bashing. Danny Rose also opened his Pompey account after joining from Northampton to round off a thumping win.
After their midweek exertions at the London Stadium, Stanley looked a bit leggy. When Tariq Fosu fed Dre right, Colchester took full advantage. In the second half, Accrington found their feet, personified by Romy Boko. An individual goal of brilliance put them level, his third league finish of the season. Stanley kept up that momentum as the half wore on. Scott Brown delivered the killer cross. Billy Key's fourth league goal was laid on a plate. The only blemish for Accrington, Brown was sent off by referee Graham Horwood. His second yellow for a shove on right, but it couldn't take the gloss off a fine victory.
Oh, Pompey bouncing back from defeat to Accrington last week with that crushing win over Barnet. But we should look at that Gary Roberts goal again, Lee. How good is this and his overall performance today?
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's got so much talent, and particularly at that level. Really, his talent is championship minimum, and he hasn't lost too much of his legs either. And that's a top player for that division, no doubt in that.
How far do you think they'll go under Paul Cook this season, Alan?
Well, it's the expectation levels, isn't it? And they're really big where he's at the moment. And, you know, I think he came under a little bit of pressure because such big crowds and they expect to go and win promotion. But I think he's steadied the storm there, and I think that, you know, going along nicely, but it's a long, as we keep saying, it's a long, long season.
Looking good today, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. Lee's old man Gary took his Cheltenham Town side back to his old club, Yeovil, today.
Johnson Senior had a celebrated time in charge of the Glovers, leading them into the Championship. Here's how the reunion went.
It began better for Johnson's old chargers as Russell Griffiths in the Cheltenham goal failed to deal with Tom Eves' cross, and Otis Khan scored his first since the opening day of the season. 5 defeats in their last 6 league games, but Yeovil doubled their lead just after a quarter of an hour. Darren Ward heading home Khan's corner. Johnson led these two teams to 4 promotions combined. His Cheltenham side were back in it when captain Aaron Downs scored his first since returning from injury. Yeovil restored their 2-goal advantage just before half-time, when Khan's shot was only cleared as far as Matt Dolan, heading home his first league goal of the season. There was no let-up in the second half as Cheltenham fought back again. Eves bundled into Rob Dickey, and although Danny Wright's penalty was saved, Billy Waters capitalised in the ensuing scramble. Yeovil put an end to 3 straight defeats at home when Eves scored with an excellent individual effort in the 90th minute, but there were to be no happy returns for Johnson.
This match already had the look of a basement battle. Newport opened the scoring after a long throw. Cambridge tried to clear, but Rhys Healey on his full debut got his first goal for the club. After the break, a Cambridge free kick brought them level. Mehdi Elito delivered. Uche Ekpeazu on the blind side headed a deserved equaliser. Cambridge's first win of the season was clinched late on. Not a thing of beauty, really. Elito's free kick caused carnage in the Newport box. What a finish, though, from Luke Berry.
Exeter have impressed on their travels recently, and not even the 24th minute dismissal of Jordan Moore-Taylor for dragging back Tom Pett could slow them down at Stevenage. If anything, the 10 men looked assured and poised, hoping to hit on the break. And with 20 minutes left, that's exactly what they did, courtesy of a cute finish from Lee Holmes. Stevenage had been caught with the sucker punch, and they were still groggy just seconds later when Ollie Watkins doubled the Devon side's lead. Stevenage's run of 3 home league wins at an end, Exeter continuing to improve.
Carlisle boasted one of only 2 unbeaten starts in the EFL, although 6 of their opening games have been drawn. Wickham, though, with only 1 win in 6, might have had the first half lead, but Matt Bloomfield was denied by a post. And it was the Cumbrians who then did find the net, Sean Miller scoring his first league goal since joining from Morecambe in the summer, and very well taken it was too. Wickham may feel a little hard done by as the frame of the goal got in their way again, this time to prevent Scott Cashkett from equalising. Carlisle's undefeated start now stretches to 9 games.
This mid-table tussle didn't catch fire until the second half, and then it really took off. Jonathan Fort's powerful header crossed the line to give County the lead on 53 minutes. Michael O'Connor nodded it in just to erase any doubts. And within 2 minutes, County's lead was doubled. John Stead is quietly having a productive campaign. His flowing confidence evident in the quality of this strike, his 7th league goal of the season. But cruise control didn't last long. Louis Lang had already been booked, so he probably shouldn't have tangled with Orient's Jay Simpson. County down to 10 men and out of their comfort zone with more than 20 minutes still to play. But the Londoners had to wait until 4 minutes from time before taking advantage of their numerical superiority. Paul McCallum rising high and drilling in a powerful header. That wasn't the end of the drama, though, with Aaron Collins saving the best for stoppage time. A superb solo goal on the counter, sealing the 3 points for the Magpies and also confirming their first home league win of the season.
At the One Call Stadium, the locals are goal-starved, just 2 all season. Their best chance here came when Lee Collins fed Malvin Benning, but his shot was parried. 10 minutes later, Grimsby's top scorer Omar Bogle showed them how. A 1-2 with Caden Jackson took him into the box. Keeper Scott Shearer brought him down. Bogle went straight down the middle with his penalty for his 8th goal this season. Hardly one for the purists this. From this corner, Sean Pearson headed wide, and that really was about as good as it got.
So that result sees Grimsby move up to 12th. Plymouth remain top of the table, while Portsmouth are up to 2nd. Luton, Doncaster and Crewe are a point further back.
At the other end of the table, Cambridge stay bottom, but are at least now level on points with the team they beat today. Newport County, Cheltenham are a point clear of those relegation places.
Well, that's about all that we've got time for. Our thanks to Alan and Lee. Very best of luck for the rest of the season, Lee.
Thank you.
And Alan didn't call you Gary once as well. That's as far as we go. There were 14 red cards, by the way, this afternoon, so a tough full day. And the Championship super heavyweights, where they battled each other to a standstill. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Good night.